Last week on the Epic Family Road Trip, we flew from Toronto to Auckland to begin a 6-month overland expedition in New Zealand. We left off at Cathedral Cove in the beautiful Coromandel Peninsula before heading south to Matamata to visit a destination that had been on our bucket list for a long time, the Hobbiton movie set. We arrived in Matamata to some stormy weather, so we decided to stay the night at the Opal Hot Springs, which is famous for its hot natural mineral pool known as the Ramaroa Pool. This beautiful natural pool has a soothing temperature of 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit and is surrounded by a forest of native ferns and bamboo. The next day we drove to the Hobbiton movie set. My brothers and I have always been fans of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit books and films, so we were so excited to experience this place firsthand. Our anticipation was building as we waited for the bus that would take us to the film site.
As you can see, folks, the sheep have right of way.
The hyper-realistic Hobbiton movie set makes travelers feel like they've truly stepped into Tolkien's fictional world of Middle-earth. It was amazing to walk through the Shire and see the fascinating details and work put into making the hobbit holes and gardens as realistic and beautiful as they were.
Is this the one from up there?
Yep.
Even if you aren't familiar with the Lord of the Rings or Hobbit books or movies, we highly recommend visiting the film set if you are on New Zealand's North Island, because it was a very unique and memorable experience. We then walked through a forest trail to experience the iconic Green Dragon Inn. The architecture and design inside and out of the Green Dragon was breathtaking. We all got to relax by a roaring fire and enjoy refreshing ginger beer or traditional ale or cider that are all brewed exclusively for Hobbiton and served from large oak barrels.
Can I get the ginger beer? Yeah. Thank you. Amber.
Our expectations for the Hobbiton movie set were definitely exceeded, and we loved seeing behind the scenes of how these epic films were created. From Matamata, we drove an hour and a half south to Rotorua to visit another one of our bucket list destinations, the geothermal wonderland of Waiotapu. This was by far one of the most incredible and unique experiences we have ever had. Waiotapu is an active geothermal area at the southern end of the Okataina Volcanic Center, and its name is translated to sacred waters in the Maori language.
If you have visited a geothermal area before, you would have noticed the smell, often described to be like rotten eggs, which is caused by dissolved sulfur minerals being emitted into the air from down below the Earth's surface.
The sulfur smell was definitely present, but we hardly noticed as we stood in awe at the vibrant colors of the minerals in the waters and rocks and walked past bubbling lakes, streams, and mud pools. After spending a night camped in Rotorua, we drove 3 hours south to the Hawke's Bay region to camp at Cape Kidnappers on Clifton Beach.
You want a steak there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a steak.
After setting up camp, we hiked along the beach to Gannet Point, where there is the largest gannet bird colony in the world.
Hey, we're here in New Zealand, down in Hawke's Bay it's called, and we're heading to a place called Gannet Beach. And it's about a 5 or 6 kilometer walk along the beach that we've been doing. And it's only accessible at low tide, so we're kind of racing against time to get out there, see the birds. Gannets are a majestic seabird that lives along the coast here, and they congregate, especially in the thousands, in this one area that we're hoping to make it out to before the tide comes in and blocks us from getting back. So we're hurrying. About 7 kilometers into the walk now and still not there, so it's a lot longer than we thought. But it's a beautiful walk along a rough, gorgeous coastline. I hope it's worth it when we see the birds. I'm sure it will be.
The walk was beautiful, and once we reached Gannet Point, we got to see a nesting colony of these fascinating Australasian gannet birds. Next, we visited the city of Napier before driving a half an hour to hike the Tamata Peak.
Oh, it's just coming out. That's cool.
It's holding up this boulder.
I'm gonna walk all the way to that.
Tamata Peak's summit height is 1,309 feet, and it provides panoramic views overlooking the breathtaking countryside. Hiking is such a great way to experience a place. It allows you to immerse yourself in the natural surroundings, to learn about local plants and wildlife, and overlook stunning views. All the while enjoying fresh air and exercise, which is an important consideration for any road trip.
Near the end of the trail, there is a grove of 223 California redwood trees which were planted in 1974, many of which are now over 40 meters or 140 feet tall.
From Tamata, we continued north and spent a few nights camped at Waipatiki Beach.
Sometimes we rent a hut if we get tired of tenting all the time, and it comes with bunks and bathroom, kitchen, and so on. Makes it really convenient and fun, good place to clean up and cook some good food that isn't campfire food, and often they're right beside the beaches here in New Zealand. We can charge up our devices and get a bit of Wi-Fi time as well.
There.
Waipatiki Beach has beautiful golden sand and a nice hiking trail along the sea cliffs. The next day's route took us along the scenic drive through the Waiaweka Gorge. The Waiaweka Gorge lies between Gisborne and Opotiki and winds along vibrant rivers, native forest, and high country farmland. Along the way, we stopped to walk the historical Tauranga Suspension Bridge. This is the only surviving harp suspension bridge left in New Zealand and was built in 1922 to provide access to sheep farms up in the Tauranga Valley. After a beautiful drive through the gorge, we camped the night on the east coast. The next morning, we drove 5 hours to Piha, a beautiful seaside village west of Auckland. We spent some time exploring the beach before hiking up the iconic landmark Lion Rock. The hike provided epic views of our surroundings and the beautiful ocean below. We then headed back to Auckland to await the arrival of our Jeep. We needed a trailer to haul some of our gear, and after a bit of research, we found a company in Auckland called Pinto Trailers.
Found a trailer, and the electrical is completely different here in New Zealand, so we went to an electrical company. We found an adapter, so we went and picked that up, bring it back to the trailer people. Now we have to get the trailer license, and then tomorrow we got to bring it in to get what they call that WOF testing, so that it's licensed for the road, and then we should be good to go.
We made a deal with them to buy one of their trailers with the intention of selling it back to them after we leave. This turned out to be a great option and much more cost-effective than renting.
We got news that our Jeep passed customs and the environmental clean examination and everything with flying colors, no problems. Excellent job. Now we'll see where we gotta go.
In order to fit in the shipping container, the rooftop tent and other gear had to be taken off the roof rack of the Jeep. We spent a bit of time putting everything back in order and then jumped in and drove our Jeep in New Zealand for the first time. The next step was to take the Jeep to an inspection station for a warrant of fitness test before it would be legal to drive in New Zealand. The warrant of fitness test takes under an hour, where they do a visual and mechanical inspection of the vehicle to make sure it's fit for safe travel on the country's steep and winding roads. Since the trailer was brand new, it also needed to get New Zealand plates and a warrant of fitness inspection. Everything passed inspection and we were finally ready to hit the road to the South Island.
Driving in Auckland with Carol's lovely Jeep.
Stay tuned for the next episode of our video series recapping our 2017 6th month overland expedition across New Zealand.